Good evening. Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. I now call this Fairfield Board of Education meeting to order. Mrs. Lang, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Here.
Present.
Mr. Clark?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum?
I am here.
And Mrs. Shorter? Here.
All right, Mr. Shorter, will you please lead us in the pledge?
States of America. Which is today. One nation. Indivisible. Liberty. And justice.
Thank you, Mrs. Shorter. First item on our agenda is presentations and resolutions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Birding. Mr. Birding and members of the board, we do have two presentations scheduled this evening. We are happy to have members of our equity leadership team join us this evening for our annual Equity Progress presentation. They will be providing the board with an Equity Progress report. Before I turn it over to some other members of the team, I would like to begin by sharing the mission and beliefs of our equity plan. Our mission is to teach our children and ourselves to live, learn, and work together in a vibrant and diverse world. We believe that the diversity of our district is one of our greatest strengths. Our diversity provides us with opportunities to hear a variety of perspectives, and listening to the perspectives of others allows us to learn and grow, which makes all of us better human beings. And finally, we also believe that all children can learn and achieve to their fullest potential. And as I've said in the past, it's very common for us to emphasize all. And the emphasis, again, is all children can learn and achieve to their fullest potential. And all of us must work together to ensure that we are meeting the needs of each and every student to ensure that he or she reaches their full potential. So at this time, I will turn it over to one of our co-chairs and our principal at North Elementary, Mrs. Hayes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. You have the clicker, Gina? Okay, thank you. I would like to turn everyone's attention, please, to our data that we have listed on the board. We did list some of our data, and I would like to particularly note some of the changes that we've had from 2017 school year to now. We are noticing some increases with our Black and our Hispanic groups, noticing differences in increases of 3% for our Black population and 2.6% for our Hispanics. Our English language learners down at the bottom have increased at 4%, which is also quite noticeable. If you take a look at the middle with our multiracial students and our white students, we are noticing decreases respectively for both of those groups. We are at a negative 4.3% for our multiracial students, and our white population is down 8.6%. One other thing that I think is quite interesting to note is that our students with economic disadvantage have increased at 5%. One thing that we need to be extremely cognizant of, I think that we're all used to thinking, we know that our population is changing, and we notice that our students of color are increasing, but we cannot see readily or easily identify our economically disadvantaged students, but we have to make sure that we are being mindful and paying attention and monitoring these students to make sure that they are successful, just like Mr. Smith said. All of our students are important. And lastly, our students with disabilities have remained pretty consistent from the 17-18 school year to now. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Kathy Gilbert, who is our Director of Special Education, to discuss our students with special needs.
Good evening. As Denise said, our population for special education has stayed pretty comparable at about 15%, which means about almost 1,500 students that attend Fairfield City School District are on an IEP. We offer a continuum of services from anything of our specialized multiple disabilities and social communication classrooms, all the way to full inclusion for other students. And that means that we have lots of students in lots of various settings in order to meet their needs. We also have students that require occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech and language therapy, hearing impairment, and teacher of the visually impaired, along with orientation and mobility. We have seen this is my 8th year in the district, and we have seen that the intensity of our special needs does continue to come. For example, in preschool, we used to get students that had an articulation problem, and they would qualify for articulation. Now we are seeing significant multiple disabilities where children are requiring nurses in order to be able to be provided a free, appropriate public education. So we continue to grow, we continue to provide professional development for our staff, our educational assistants, and just meeting those needs of all those learners. And I will return it back to Mrs. Hayes.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to familiarize all of you with all of the people that sit on our equity leadership team. As Mr. Smith stated, I am one of the co-chairs along with Dennis Williams, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. He is our parent leader of the group. Also involved in this work is Ms. Tracy Ashford, who is a Fairfield High School guidance counselor, Ms. Mandy Ogg, who is the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Gina Gentry Fletcher is the Director of School and Community Relations here in the district, Ms. Kathy Gilbert, who just spoke with you, who is our Director of Special Services. Mr. Lawrence Jones is our prior parent co-chair. Ms. Erin Keller is a parent. Mr. Roger Martin is our Assistant Superintendent. Mrs. Katie Pospischel is our Coordinator of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction. Mr. Billy Smith is our Superintendent. Mr. Jeremy West, our FHS GSSU Advisor and Teacher. And Ms. Gina Whitco, parent. We are also really honored to have student membership, and they provide us with a wealth of knowledge and recommendation on our team. So a special thanks to Ms. Kennedy Baker, Ms. Andrea Udosin, and Ms. Vanessa Ampofo-Mensah. I'd like to just give you a brief overview to let you know that our diversity work is divided up amongst 4 pillars, each with their own designated roles and functions. We are going to be discussing each of these pillars more in depth, but I would like to give you an overview of each of those areas of focus. We have Pillar 1, which is in charge of the recruitment, hiring, and retention of teachers and administrators of color here in the district. Pillar 2 focuses on increasing cultural awareness of all of our students, teachers, administrators, and staff of the Fairfield City School District. This primarily focuses on professional development, ongoing learning for students and staff, and basically just keeping the importance of this work at the forefront of our district in mind, which is really, really important. Pillar 3 focuses on increasing community engagement and parental involvement, and I think that pillar speaks for itself. And lastly, Pillar 4 is charged with increasing student engagement and learning opportunities to emphasize the importance and participation of our students in their curriculum and extracurricular activities. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Roger Martin, our Assistant Superintendent, to tell you more about Pillar 1.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very privileged to be able to work with Pillar 1 in our equity plan, recruiting, hiring, and retaining teachers, administrators, and staff members of color. We started this journey in earnest back in 2011. That's when we started keeping score, trying to figure out exactly how many people of color that we had. And in 2011, we stopped. That was our baseline data. We had 20 people of color who were serving in teaching and administrative roles within the district. That was 3.23% of our total professional staff. So this year, in 2021, get the right year there, we now have 46 people of color working here in the schools as administrators or teachers. So we're now at 7%. We just eked over that 7% for the first time. So we're thrilled with that. Of course, we want to see it representative of our diversity in our community, so we have a long way to go. But just to give you an idea of how we are doing as a school district, this year, the latest statistics we have, approximately 5.2% of the professional staff members in the state of Ohio are people of color. And we have 7%, so we're definitely above average. The highest concentrations of people of color in our schools in Ohio are in the urban areas and also in charter schools. And so to be at 7% in the suburbs, it's taken a lot of work to get there. Like I said, we're not satisfied. We want to keep on going, but we feel like we've made a lot of progress since 2011. We have lots of strategies for hiring people. This year, because of COVID, everything we do is different. And so we've had to tweak some of our strategies. I'm not going to read them to you, but you see them in the PowerPoint there. So we're continuing to try different things to get new people in. I will mention as well that our classified staff members or our support staff members, these are people who work in our kitchens, custodians, bus drivers, educational assistants. We started keeping score on that back in 2017, and we've gone from 4.3% to 7.2% this year. So we've gone from 20 to 34. So we're working in all elements of our school, and we are seeing growth each and every year. It's not enough to hire people. We also want to retain people. Now, we know that there are people who leave for lots of reasons. This past year, we only had a net increase of one person of color in our professional staff, but we actually hired 6. 5 people retired, moved to Florida, moved to Michigan, got married and moved to Columbus. There's lots of places those people have gone, but we have to actually, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps forward, and 2 steps back, but you have to keep hiring as many people as you can to see the trajectory keep going up. Retention strategies, we're not only working to hire them, but like I said, also to keep them. We've got lots of strategies going for that. COVID has put a kind of dampened what we're doing this year, so we're doing some new things that we've never done before. For instance, the DIRC, which is the Diversity Recruitment and Retention Committee, we're sponsoring a Unity Week. We thought with all that's gone on in our communities and our country, it would be nice to sponsor a Unity Week to try to get everybody unified. And we're taking the week of Martin Luther King Jr. We're off that Monday. Then Tuesday through Friday, we're sponsoring a Unity Week, and every school in our district will be involved in that, and you'll be hearing additional details and information about that in the near future. The next slide shows our DIRC, we call it, Diversity Recruitment and Retention Committee. I would like to read the names because these people work hard. We meet every month and do a lot of work in between the meetings to try to keep us moving forward with the hiring and retention process. Ricardo Callier, Jill Collins, Gina Gentry-Fletcher, who is right here, Denise Hayes, who is also right here, Kim Hauer, one of our principals, Dawn Hildreth. She's been a great hire. Unfortunately, she's already resigned at the end of the year. She's moving back to Michigan, but she's been a big support and help to us while she's been here these 5 or 6 years. Lynn King, myself, Jennifer Moore, Katie Myers, Latrice Watkins, and Kina Westmoreland. These people are all about moving our district forward with diversity, and I'm really thrilled to be able to serve with them.
So good evening. Pillar 2 is our district's commitment to increase cultural awareness for students, teachers, administrators, and staff of the Fairfield City School District. So as part of the work under this pillar, the curriculum department, in conjunction with building leadership, we work to make sure that we're removing barriers for students in terms of access to courses, We want to remove any barriers to their learning. So it can be something like we have here of paying for the cost of AP exams, but also things like the EL needs assessment that I spoke about in an earlier board meeting. You know, really digging in and understanding what barriers might be present that we can focus on and remove for our students in this district. We also work, of course, to provide instructional materials and resources that reflect the cultural diversity of Fairfield City Schools. We do this in a typical curriculum adoption year. When we're looking at materials, we want those materials to be diverse, to be culturally relevant, to show a wide variety of students. So when students use those materials, they see themselves in their textbooks or other resources. And we continue to look for ways to supplement that, which might mean using money to support diverse resources for classroom libraries, which we were able to do with some of our Striving Readers grant money at the end of last year, to making sure that our resources in each one of our school libraries is diverse as well. Probably the biggest thing that we do around Pillar 2 is provide professional development. Mrs. Hayes mentioned this earlier. This is probably the most important thing we do, and that is to increase awareness around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we've done quite a bit of work this year around that. So our first half of the year, with all of our administrators, we've been conducting monthly PDs. 2 of those were with Tommy Lewis from Make It Plain Consulting. And then one of those was led by Georgine Bowman from Butler County ESC and our own Denise Hayes. And all of those centered around, again, diversity, how to have conversations, how to, create empathy among our staff. So we will continue with that work with our administrators, and but we know in order to make a true difference that work has to carry on to our staff. So at our November meeting, our November in-service, we had Tommy Lewis present to the entire staff. And that was all teachers and all educational assistants were able to take part in that. And he will be back in April to carry on with that work. So, and then in the interim, we are working with each one of our building administrators in order to continue that work at the building level so it can be sustained throughout the year. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to.
Thank you, Mrs. Zogg. I have to say that being a member of the Equity Leadership Team brings me a lot of pride because we are doing some really good work in the various committees and on these pillars. I am pleased to introduce pillar or goal number 3, which is to increase community engagement and parental involvement. This pillar ties in with the work of our Community Diversity Alliance, or the CDA, and all of our district outreach programs. Unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of our efforts were canceled because we couldn't gather in large groups. So I want to just share a few examples of the things that we've done in the past and that we are currently doing safely. We initiated the Back to School Bash the year before last. It was well attended. It was an awesome way for the community to come out, take advantage of some free resources such as immunizations, backpacks, shoes, school supplies, haircuts, that sort of thing. And it was a great way for our community partners to get involved and just do this outreach for not only just our students in need, but any student or family member that wanted to come out to take advantage of all that we were offering. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it for last summer, so we were unable to do that. But we're hoping that come August, things will be a little bit different and we'll be able to do something for our families. We also do giveaways of hats and gloves. We are in the midst of collecting hats and gloves on behalf of our Butler County Success Liaisons. Unfortunately, their supplies are being depleted, so there is a great need. And the schools have been very responsive in giving, and the community as well. We work with our English learners and their families, doing specific programs that are geared toward helping them complete necessary forms, registrations, that sort of thing, translation services, you name it. We're trying to do whatever we can for these families. We engage our students with special needs, and unfortunately, one of the biggest things that we were able to do every year for the kids had to be canceled, which was the annual fishing trip. So that had to be canceled, but it was just the thought of what we've done in the past years for, our students with special needs has been amazing, and the volunteer support and the community support is amazing. So we encourage our parents and community members to join our diversity work. So we've had some new members join our equity leadership team. We've had a few members join, our community members join our Community Diversity Alliance. And, the interest is there, I think, because of all the things that have been happening in current events. The focus is kind of on this work and what we're doing to make things better. We provide the summer lunch program through funding that we receive from the government, and that has been a very widely popular program. And we're adopting families in need. Our CDA has reached out to our Success Liaison, and we are working with 20 families to provide. We provided Thanksgiving meals for some who weren't part of an ordinary giving of Thanksgiving meals, but we are also working with them for Christmas, the holiday program, providing gifts for them, meals, whatever they need, but it's going to extend beyond that. We want to reach out to them throughout the year just to check in on them to see how they're doing. Mr. Smith recommended that we do this, and the committee wholeheartedly agreed, because I think you said that your family does something similar.
Mhm.
And I didn't know if that was something that you wanted to expand on, or
Sure.
if
No,
you
I'd-
hit everything.
Sure, I'd be happy to, and I have a couple Rotarians up here as well, and so that's something that the Rotary Club has done every year around the holidays, and through that experience, my eyes have really been open the last several years about just there are a lot of needs out there, and in the past my family has kind of stayed connected to some of the families that we've adopted and checked in on them, and we had our first CDA meeting maybe back in October, and everyone was kind of disappointed that our back to school bash was canceled, and we've really focused on being servants to our community the last several years in our CDA, and so I suggested that maybe we adopt some families for Thanksgiving as a group, and in small groups, and we've done that, and then I challenged them to, if they can, to not just focus on that one-time service, but also check back in with them, and so checking back in with them over the holidays, groceries and gifts for their children, and then also my hope is to just, again, care for them over time, and not just hey, it's the holidays, we're thinking of you, how can we help? But then, a lot of families, then everything goes back to normal, but the need is still there. And so that's one of my favorite things about this is that, we're going to try to extend that care and that service, long term, to just stay in touch with them. So far it's been great. I know I can speak for the personal experience that I've had with our family, and they've been very appreciative, and they're going through a hardship. And one of the parents is not employed, but was until recently, and so we're here to serve them during that difficult time. So and just I'm excited about seeing this grow over time. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
I think that when you share experiences like what Mr. Smith shared, it kind of spreads itself. So I was happy to hear our group decide that they wanted to embrace this, and it's been really going really well. I spoke with one of the liaisons today, and she had reached out, to tell me that there was a family kind of had an emergency need that they were supposed to be signed up, I guess, to receive Christmas, but I guess their name might have fallen through the cracks somehow. And so I reached out to the staff in our district office, and within 5 or 10 minutes, all the children, there were 5 children in the family, I had people reach out and accepted or adopted each of the 5 children, so within 5 or 10 minutes. So it just shows that we do have giving hearts, and we want to try to do for our kids, our families, so that they can enjoy the holiday season. And also the friendships that we can form with them. That's that part of relationship building that's so important to help them. So if we support them, they'll support us in turn. So, and then we are in the middle of some holiday fundraisers. Express Feedback for Good. You probably have been receiving a lot of emails, text messages, and all that stuff from me, encouraging you to take surveys. For every survey that you take, we get $2, and that $2 you can take up to 75 surveys. That'll make you the donor of $150 to the district to support 4 programs that'll benefit our kids. So information about this program is on our website, so if you want to read up on that, you can. And then last, we are encouraging the CDA and our ELT members to join us in our book study. I see on the agenda today that you guys are going to be talking about the very book that our administrators are reading, and we did have some interest from members that they wanted to read the book and discuss it with us at the next meeting. So even though COVID has kind of shut us down on a lot of things, we are still doing some things to reach out to our families. And now I will turn it over to Mrs. Poshpischel to talk about Pillar 4.
Good evening. With Pillar 4, we are looking to increase student engagement and learning opportunities to emphasize the value and importance of diverse student participation in all curricular and extracurricular activities. As we all know, students who are engaged in extracurricular or curricular activities are more likely to display a positive attitude about their school, increase their academic achievement, and strengthen their school pride. So for just a few of the items that we do to help this is, number one, with a lot of the PD that we are putting on specifically for our administrators and our teachers, we're looking to improve teacher-student relationships to foster student interest in activities and curriculum. Because when a teacher that you have a relationship reaches out and says, I think this is a really good fit for you, or I really want you to take this advanced class, the students are going to love the opportunity to see that their teachers think very highly of them and that they think that they can make it. We also provide opportunities to develop culturally aware student leaders, and we'll have the opportunity to listen to Ms. Kennedy Baker here in a few minutes. We also, on a regular basis, evaluate our processes for screening students for our advanced level courses to ensure that our advanced level courses do not have any barriers for students who wish to take them. We also provide more opportunities for students to access advanced classes as early as their elementary grades, because we know the sooner that they are able to access the advanced material, they're going to continue to move in that direction. And we also collect examples from school engagement from each school at our monthly AP meetings. And with our assistant principals, each month we share different things that each of our buildings are doing to have conversation, to gain experiences and learn from each other. And then also, like Ms. Ogg had indicated, that we also have the payment of our AP exams for all students who are enrolled in our AP classes. And unfortunately, we started this last year, and then we faced a pandemic. So we did have a great number of students take the AP classes, but we are looking, or AP tests, but we are looking forward to having all of our AP students sitting in our AP classes taking the AP exams this year. And someone who is way more exciting and more fun to speak, Ms. Kennedy Baker. All right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would first like to discuss, really start by thanking the Fairfield City School Board for allowing me to present and discuss the importance and significance of diversity within the education system. Once again, my name is Kennedy Baker, and I am a junior at Fairfield Senior High School, where I am currently an active member in various organizations, such as the National Honor Society, the Cincinnati Symphony Youth Orchestras, the Tri-M Music Honor Society, and I was also selected by my peers to be a member of the Fairfield High School's Junior Class Council. As these roles and responsibilities are truly rewarding, the most rewarding position I have obtained is my role as a student representative in the Equity Leadership Team, also known as ELT. I truly appreciate this opportunity to speak as a student representative for ELT. As once again, I truly do appreciate this, as my mother, Katrina Key Baker, was an original member of ELT over 10 years ago during their formative stages. ELT works within the community of Fairfield High School student body, administrative team, faculty, and staff to provide policies to better enhance engagement as it relates to diversity, strategic goals, professional development needs, and curriculum changes. ELT is organized in multiple pillars, as you have seen previously, to specifically focus on various needs of the district. I would like to focus my presentation on Pillar 4, which prioritizes the ability to increase student engagement and student learning opportunities throughout the district. During these unprecedented times, communication and engagement truly make a world's difference in regards to the relationship between students and faculty. I'm extremely proud to say, after close examination and interviews with various faculty members and students in different age groups, it is clear to see that Fairfield's high school faculty has worked extremely hard and with due diligence is able to ensure that students are able to remain in a positive communication and engagement with their teachers to ensure a positive academic experience. Along with the improved communication between students and faculty, there has also been an increase in access to cultural awareness of various minority students as well. Clubs such as AXO, BSU, ASU, and the Asian Association American Club has recently been able to improve cultural awareness throughout the Fairfield City School District. However, as there has been an increase in minority students enrolled in the district, there has at times not been an equal representation of minority students in advanced and AP classes. According to specific teachers from Fairfield High School, there has been, as I may quote, a disproportionate of minority students in advanced and AP classes. Speaking from personal experience, I can attest to, at times, the limited information offered to minority students as it relates to advancing to higher levels of classes. At times, it appears as though there is a disconnect between students who are minority students and are not always given the ample information and motivation to pursue higher classes. Nonetheless, for these ongoing reasons, this is why ELT's presence within the district is extremely important and very necessary and very crucial. It is ELT's goal to increase the number of minority students enrolled in advanced classes with successful outcomes. As this committee strongly believes in the importance of diverse representation of academically inclined students within Fairfield City School District, according to various AP teachers, the rate of minority students within AP classes has slowly increased over the years, specifically from 2010 to 2020. This slow but steady increase in diversity within advanced classes was able to continue with ELT's help and actively serving the community since 2010 to the present day. I strongly believe that the presence of ELT within the school district has contributed to these positive changes, and I would like to see an even greater increase in the following years to come with the support of the board. Once again, thank you for allowing me to speak and share my perspective from the student body's point of view in regards to this important matter. Lastly, I would specifically like to thank the dedicated members of ELT for selecting me as a student representative on the essential subject in regards to our local education system. I would now like to turn my time to Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Very well done. Thank you so much. In conclusion, I'd just like to focus on a few points that you see in the presentation. One, that this diversity plan is a work in progress. Over the years, we've said that it is a fluid document, and that's what I really love about this plan and the work that we do, and this ties in with the next point. We adjust to the changing social, emotional, and educational needs of all students. So, and you've probably heard us talk about that in the past in terms of, if we really want to be at our best and really meet the needs of the students that we serve, then we need to make sure that what we are doing is aligned with the needs of the students. And, as we've said many times before, things change. Things happen. If you go back 3 years, 5 years, the needs of the students who we serve, they have changed dramatically. And that's why it's so important to make sure that we are willing to be flexible and willing to, not create a document and say, this document is in place for the next 3 years. Instead, we say, this document is flexible, it's fluid. Let's listen to the feedback that we receive from our community, from our parents, from our student representatives, and make sure that we make the changes that need to be made. Lastly, I would just like to thank each member of our equity team, and some are here this evening and some are not. In addition, I'd like to thank our board members for their support of our equity plan as well. We'll continue to be committed to ensuring that the pillars and goals of this plan are carried out. And I'm excited to see where our work takes us in the near future. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Smith. Any comments from the board?
Some comments. Thank you so much for the presentation. This was absolutely wonderful. I'm always looking forward to seeing what we're doing with equity. I mean, the district is definitely changing, and as we change, as we grow, there are different things that we encounter, and it's always good to see that the equity team is adjusting and flowing right along with those changes. I'm happy to see the focus on, the pillars of learning and increasing advanced placement for students and making sure that, students are represented there. That is definitely